Nation of Craig, who is normally the host of Running Tales. But unfortunately for me, Craig has gotten a new job, and our Running Tales show is going on hiatus after this episode. So hang out with me. I've got a great guest in Heidi Baker, who goes by the handle at Strong Mama Miles, joining myself today. And we're going to have a great conversation. While you're also listening to this show, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network wherever you get your podcasts. You can also head to runtrimag.com, click on the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network at the top of the website, and head to any one of our number of shows, check out our guests, and be able to listen to them from Apple, Spotify, or on YouTube there as well. So without any further delay and more rumbling, mumbling, stumbling by me, let's bring Heidi on the show and let's have a great conversation. Hey, my friend, how are you?
Hey, good. How are
I am
you?
much better. I told you in the green room that my laptop literally shut down right as I was getting ready to bring the studio up. So I'm excited that I'm actually able to be in this conversation
In the
and
studio.
to hear you as well, which didn't happen for a few seconds there when my laptop decided to tell me that I was on mute without telling me I was on mute. So hopefully all the bad stuff is out of the way.
Hopefully.
Well, let's get into it. Normally we have conversations surrounding how people get into running and what running means to them and all of these other things that we discuss. And I think what's going to happen is part of the conversation is going to come out from some of the questions that I have prepared for you. And let me also preface this by saying I love the content that you put up. I find myself drawn to it and connected to it because I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that running is a part of your life. It isn't your life. Is that a correct statement?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah,
And
for
I
sure.
appreciate that. It has not become like my whole personality. I'm only a runner and I only run. It's, I do all these other things too, which I find more fascinating, honestly, than somebody telling me that they ran X number of miles in X number of minutes or hours. I will celebrate the hell out of you. Like I will cheer for you so loudly when you're doing that stuff. But if that's all you're telling me, at some point I'm going to get bored of it. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like the outside view is sometimes that it's my whole life. It's like I have a podcast about it and I post about it and I'm training for ultras and that takes a lot of time. But I mean, it's actually a very small portion of my life. So I try to keep the view as wide as I can, for a public platform. But yeah, for sure. It's part of my life, not
I
all of
think
it.
you hit the nail on the head there, right? It's as much as I'm going to share on a public platform because we have things that we don't want to talk about in public as well. There are some things that Lori and I talk about that don't get aired in public, and that's okay. Which is always what makes me laugh when I see people who are like, I keep it real, 100% with you, everything I do. Like,
Right? Like, no, you don't. You don't tell us everything that's going on.
not even close either, is what I'm guessing too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like my kids, I every once in a while will like share something in my stories and they'll be like close friends only, but for the most part I try to keep my kids off until they're old enough to like give explicit permission that they're okay with, being on social media and there's just a lot of like life things that I mean, I don't have to share them. I don't owe that to anybody. And so I mean, I think I'm open about when I'm struggling with something, but I don't necessarily have to share what the struggles are cuz when you have 10,000 plus people following you, you don't want everybody to know everything that's going on. And you have to maintain some privacy too. Like I don't know exactly who's following me or who's out there, so it's like you got to stay safe
That's
too.
it. I think that's hitting the nail on the head in a multiple number of ways, right? Like I'm open about my alcohol abuse. I'm open about the disordered eating that I've gone through. I'm open about the anxiety and stresses I have that are born out of imposter syndrome. But what I don't talk about is a whole list of things too. And those are things
Yeah.
that in the private conversations with Lori, I'm working through. And then maybe one day when I feel comfortable to share it, I will. But until then, like I need to work through whatever the trauma I'm working through is, which brings me to my first question for you. Um, we often link trauma to endurance sports. We often say, I'm going to go for a 3 or 4 hour run. It's going to clear my head. Or back in the day when I was racing triathlon, I'm going to go for a 6 hour bike ride and clear my head. Um, do you really find that you are actually clearing your head in those moments more often than not? Because I don't believe in absolutes. I would never say I'm always clearing my head or I'm never clearing my head. But maybe you're solving a problem with one of your kids in the moment, but it may not necessarily be a trauma scenario where you're
Right.
working through. And so how, like, greater than 50%, less than 50%, do you find that like you're working your way through a trauma as opposed to a in the moment scenario?
Um, I mean, it's probably like 50-50, honestly. Right now, I feel like I mean, not to get too in the weeds with it, but, like, I'm
Get in the
actually
weeds.
going through, like I'm going through, like, some transitions in my life that I'm trying to, like, figure things out, and I'm actually realizing I have a lot more trauma in my past than I ever acknowledged or knew, and it's, like, things that are coming up that I had no idea were even there, and so it's, like, I feel like right now, I running for me is working through a lot of that, and it's not necessarily clearing my head. I actually think I commented on a post recently where it was like, talking about how it's not to like clear your head and be like quiet. For me, it's actually a time where I tend to overthink even a little bit more because I'm just like, I have nothing else to do
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
think. I'm out there and thinking. But through that overthinking, I tend to like process things and like kinda get a different understanding or a new perspective on things, and but I mean, for me, it's probably 50-50, and it depends on the
Yeah.
day, like, there's some days where it's just there's a more relevant problem in my mind, and it could be something really stupid, like the house is a mess, and I'm, like, working through that in my head, or it could be something really deep, like, "Oh my gosh, there's this repressed childhood trauma that I've never addressed before, and that's coming
It's
out."
so it's so interesting because I find myself doing the same thing. So one of the things I
Yeah.
don't often talk about publicly is when I was a kid, my parents moved us out of the Bronx where I was going to school with Juans and Jose's. And all of a sudden, I'm in white suburbia and I'm going to school with Tyler's and Kevin's. And that
Mhm.
dramatic or traumatic, excuse me, experience, I never really understood or identified with until about 4 or 5 years ago. And Lori said to me, "You're Puerto Rican. Be Puerto Rican." And then going out on runs, I started to process that. Like, yeah, I am Puerto Rican. I need to be Puerto Rican and show that I'm Puerto Rican. And so it wasn't solved in one day, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it did give me a lot of time on my feet out there and in my own head to process and work my way through those scenarios. So I'm with you on that response. Is that um, I think we have opportunities to address the trauma that we've gone through. I, the question is, are you seizing the moment to process the trauma that you're going through when you're out there doing that stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I think as with everything, it's just a little bit of, balance in it. And I don't think it'd be healthy to just process your trauma
Oh
every single
no.
time you go out for a run because then it probably wouldn't be a very enjoyable
Right.
experience. But I mean, I think because for me, like the whole thing about, endurance athletes having like a history of trauma, it was never something I actually identified with. I was like, why do I like it then? Because I don't really have that much trauma in my past. And now I'm like realizing and learning more that there is trauma there. And, um, stuff I never really let myself think through because I've always thought, I'm a white, female that was like middle class growing up. I really haven't had many obstacles. I've had a lot of privilege. And so I kinda always thought to myself, "There's not a lot of trauma there," but I'm actually working through, like, some, like, religious and spiritual trauma right now, and, like, so I'm realizing that I've been drawn to this endurance because there have been things that I've been processing, but I just haven't been fully acknowledging or, like, known what it even was that was going on
You
in
know how
there.
important it is
So,
for you to recognize the privilege? Like, I don't know that many people recognize the privileges that they've had. Like, one of the things I tell people all the time is, look, I get it that I'm a white male. I present as white male. And that has given me privilege despite
yeah,
having a last name as Bahamundi and despite being Puerto Rican, just from looking at me, I've got privilege. And that also took a
right.
long time for me to process as well and understand. And it makes me wonder, is it the running that has given us this insight? Or is it getting older that's given us this insight? Or the combination of the two?
I think a combination of the 2. I mean, I definitely think getting older is there because I'm relearning and having to adjust so much that I stood in such certainty in for so much of my life, and I'm, like, the ground it's this is the perfect time to have this conversation, Jason, because 'cause I'm in, like, the thick of it right now with all this. But, like, it's I mean, I've been running for, 10 over 10 years, and I haven't necessarily been processing all of this during that time. So running wasn't what, triggered all this for me. It's been things like getting older, more life experience, seeing the world in a different way, meeting different people, kind of expanding, my knowledge of things and, therapy as well, which I think is important to point out. And I guess I look at running as like a supplemental thing to kind of help me through that. Like it's time for myself because I can't process trauma and think about all these things when I'm parenting kids or homeschooling my children or, whatnot, or training a client or something. But when I'm on a run, that's when I get that time to kind of think through those
Are you a
things.
journaler? Like, so after your run, do you come home and write down the things that you thought about?
Yeah,
That's
usually.
awesome. I don't, and it's frustrating because I'll come back from a run and start having a conversation with Lori and be like, I totally forgot where I was because I can't remember any of this stuff. Like, I need to get better at writing this stuff down.
I even jot stuff down on my phone or leave myself, like,
Yeah,
voice
that's
notes
smart.
because I'll be in the middle of a run and I know it's gonna leave me, and I'll be like, "I had this awesome insight," and, like, it's like, you could come up for with the solution to world peace on a run and then forget about it or something. It's like
That would be me. And it's funny
Yep.
because I'm gonna sound like the man yelling at the clouds. Back in my day, when Strava and vanity metrics were really important to me, the idea to slow down and do a voice note was like no shot in hell, man. I'm gonna be running this 7 minute mile, 8 minute mile. If I stop to record something, Strava's gonna, say I ran an 8:20, and I can't possibly have that.
Right.
Thanks to maturity and just clearly just not giving a shit anymore what anybody looks at when they look at Strava or anywhere else. Now's the time for me to stop and do the voice memo and jot things down and be like, this is more important than the split of this mile is in the grand scheme of things.
Right. I think more people need to realize that too, because it's like what's the point of the running if you're forgetting all those things and all those insights or not enjoying what's around you when you're running and instead you're focused on hitting a certain pace and stuff like that. Like I don't care what my I mean sometimes it usually ends up saying something like 15-minute miles cuz I stopped and took a
Right.
picture or I saw something really cool or I had a really good idea and I had to jot it down or you know like, I've done it before where I've, like, realized something and then I have to call, like, one of my siblings or something, be like, "Oh my gosh, do you remember this?" And, it's like, these things happen during my run, but that's, to me, the whole point of it. It's not the paces and stuff. It's that experience that I get from it.
Yeah, the connection, right? To
Yeah.
your mind is clear enough in the moment because you're not on a social media platform, you're not recording a podcast, you're not,
Mhm.
dealing with parenting in the moment, and so your mind has clarity And it's like, oh, I need to call one of my siblings and have a conversation with them. Like this run will get done, the pace will be there, the fitness will still be there, and everything else will still happen. But this is more important than that in this moment, and I need to take care of that. And this is also not to say that what the running is isn't important either, right? So, I mean,
Right.
I think we fall into this world where everything has all of a sudden become black and white, and no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. We'll get people that are like, "Well, it's important because if you're training for this, you have to." It's like, Okay, yeah, we're not saying don't do the workouts. We're just saying like sometimes it's okay to,
Well, this
Yeah.
is a great lead in to a video I saw you posted in the on Instagram, and it had all the foods that every ultra and trail runner has ever eaten or will ever eat, Oreos and candy and everything else. And on there, you prefaced it by saying, "This isn't what I always eat," or something to that extent. And it made me
Yeah.
wonder, like, why do we have to preface our eating with this type of thing so that we don't have the "come at me, bro" scenario, right? Like, what?
Yeah. When you told me that in when you were talking to me in the green room and you said that, I was kind of annoyed with myself that I said that in the post. Like, I'm slightly disappointed in myself that I even said that
Well,
disclaimer.
it's crazy because a day or two ago, I don't know if you follow Storm 702. Krista is her name on Threads, but she put up a post and it had two donuts in it. And of course, the fitness bro is like, those are empty calories, and you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't do that, and you shouldn't do the other thing, with no context as to why she's eating
Right.
a donut or not eating a donut. Not to mention, it's none of your fucking business, man. Like the same two thumbs that you typed all that shit on, you could have used to scroll on by, right? Or maybe ask a question like, help me understand what's the point of the two donuts? What, like, ask a question instead of just coming out and just telling people don't do X or don't do Y. Like, because you have no idea what somebody else is going through in their
Right.
life. And so, like, do we preface these things because we just don't want to have that conversation, the why are you eating donuts, those are empty calories type of thing? Is that why we preface these things, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for me, that's probably where it derives from. Like, because I don't really care what people think about what I eat. Like, I'm over that. There was a time where I cared a lot about what people thought about what I ate, but I don't anymore. But I think it's more the like, I don't want the comments of, you know, this is terrible. You could fuel a different way. There's better ways. It's like, there's dyes and preservatives and all these things. And I'm like, when I'm dying at mile 70, I don't really give a shit about that. So,
I think that's the other point, right? Like, I understand that an Oreo and a sweet potato are not the same thing. Like, I got it, right? I understand that, but I'm gonna eat the Oreo, dude. Like, I need the Oreo. I want the Oreo. I have a craving for the Oreo, so I'm eating the Oreo. Leave me alone. Um, and I think for me, I push back on this topic so much because I went through and still deal with a disordered eating scenario in which I was hiding all the shit that I was eating. And so now it's more like, look, this is what I'm eating, and I don't care if Jane or Joe Nutrition is angry at me for doing it, right? Like, I've learned to use the block button or the mute button very well these days. And
And it's not even like real legitimate dietitians or
correct.
anybody who's actually educated that are commenting on it. It's some person who thinks that they know everything and they have no certifications or background in nutrition whatsoever.
Like, Stevie Lynn is one of my favorite dietitians. She's a great person. And I go and I look at her Instagram page, and she is certified, has all the degrees, all the letters of the alphabet behind her name. And she's out here telling you, go eat the carbs, go eat the Oreos, go
Yeah.
eat the Snickers bar, like, do it, right? And so, yeah, I'm not going to have somebody who's going to tell me like, oh, if you sign up for my 7-step class, I can get you to lose 10 pounds in 10 minutes just by drinking water with 6 shots of lemon juice in it. And it's like, nah, not today. Sorry. I
Yeah.
just wish that we could have more nuanced conversations with people instead of this sort of attacking situation of don't eat this or don't eat that.
Yeah. I mean, I had a similar experience on Threads with, a post that Lori had made, I think, and she was talking about, like, how there's a lot of men giving advice, like fitness advice to women on, like, Instagram and stuff, and women giving fitness advice to women, but there's not many women giving, like, fitness advice or showing, like, exercises or workout routines to men, and I, like, commented on it because I have a lot of thoughts on that, and somebody, like, came on and started, like, attacking me because I had said that, a lot of times in the gym, it's a man that approaches a woman and tries to correct her form or something with no context as to what she's doing, no idea, like, her, like, physical limitations or what she's trying to work on or anything like that, and, like, he commented and he was like, "So, any man trying to give fitness advice to women is sexist?" And I was like, "I didn't say that, but
It just
okay."
it
Like
reminds me of the examples, right? Like if you wrote, "I like apples," and somebody would come on and be like, "Why do you fucking hate oranges?"
exactly. It's like, "Oh my gosh, these people need to take a logic class," and, like, I don't know. It's
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 about learning
yeah,
how to have conversation. Lori, we lived in
exactly.
Phoenix for a couple of years, and we used to go to this pool to go swimming, and the guy that was on the deck, he was a swim coach for like a youth team or something there, and he just came over and started talking about how to improve our swim stroke. And like, not to be a dick, but I was like, has this guy seen the Iron Man tattoo on my back? I know how to swim, dude. Like, I just don't need you to tell me how to swim or what to do. And he talked to Lori in that same way, and she's a triathlete. Like
Right.
ask a question or nuance it and say, "Would you mind? I've noticed something about your swim stroke. Would you mind if I said something to you about it?" That's
I've actually had somebody say that to me on the trails because I was using my poles. I was like new to poles and I was using them totally wrong. And I was in a race and it was a really tough climb I was on. And somebody actually came up and they were like, "Would you mind if I gave you some advice on your poles?" And I was like, "Sure, like I'll welcome it." Like that's the way to
yes.
communicate it. It's not like, "Oh, it'll be better if you do this or you should really do it this way." Like, yeah,
It's
have context, ask questions. It's
it's
not that
not
hard.
that hard. There Lori taught me this once, years ago. I forget the artist and the song, but the lyric is, "The world became dangerous when we all became famous." And it's like, okay, I have this social media profile and I've got 35,000 followers, so I clearly must know everything about everything. So let me tell you about how to do things. And it's just that's not the way this works, man. That's just not.
To have that mindset because no, I think no matter how many followers I get, I'll still think I know nothing about
Yes.
anything.
Like, I love talking to people, and in order to talk to people, you have to ask questions and be open-minded, right? Otherwise, you're talking at
Yeah,
people instead of talking with people, and I just don't find that to be as entertaining, or interesting because I've been spoken to as well, and it's like, "I'm not here for this, like, let's have a conversation instead of, you're not my boss, let's put it that way, I don't need a boss
right.
in this scenario." Which is sort of a dovetail into this next question I wrote down with regards to you, with people giving advice. And so I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody clearly must have said something to you about being a mother. And
Did I seem a little triggered?
I mean, it was only mentioned like twice in 3 posts, so clearly somebody came out of the woodwork and said something to you about being a mother and training for ultras and being selfish. And I presume that it was a stranger and had no context for how much you're training, when you're training, what you do with your kids, how you do it with your kids, and the time that your husband plays a role in all of this as well. I'm presuming they just had 0
Right.
context.
So it wasn't directly towards me, the comment, but it was just directed, it seemed like, at any woman who runs ultras, essentially, that has a family. It was just a Threads post that someone had said, you know, like, someone was saying, "Oh, I like people tell me all the time I should run 100 mile or run 100 miler, and I think you could do it." And she's like, "I think I could too, but here's the thing: I have a family and I have young kids, and the the amount of time it takes to train for something like that, like I cannot do that because that would be selfish. And like when someone's training for ultras, like their family takes the brunt of it, and I cannot leave all those responsibilities." Or she said, "I cannot leave all the child rearing and household responsibilities to my husband," or something like that. And I was just like, okay, well, that's not what happens actually, first of all. And like, I don't know, like, it's just say you don't wanna run 100 miles, like, it's
Right.
yeah, it's not that big a deal, nobody has to do those things, but if you're just at, like, a point in your life where you can't feel like you do that or it's not your priority, that's
Correct.
okay, but you don't have to basically imply that anybody who does it is selfish and leaving all the, like, responsibilities to their spouse. Because, I mean, my husband would tell you I still do most of the child rearing and household responsibilities and still manage to train for an ultra. So, um and then there were, I mean, the amount of comments was what was most appalling to me, and people like in agreement with her, like other women, and I was just like, "Come on, guys, like we can do better than
There's
this."
a lot to unpack here. And I will start with this.
Yeah.
Men, if you're going to be a father. Like, participate in all of this
Yeah.
stuff and help your significant other achieve their dreams and goals as well, right? Like, um, I don't understand this idea that it all falls on the woman or a single person in a relationship, because there are those who adopt who are queer, and so it doesn't make any sense to me how one single person becomes the responsible party for raising child or children. It's a partnership. It's
Right.
like, which means you have to have conversation, which means you might have to have the
Yeah.
hard conversation, which is, my goal is to run 100 miles in July of 2026. And it's going to take me, 10 hours a week or whatever the number is to get there. I'm going to need you to do X, right? And that might
Yeah.
be a hard conversation for some people in a relationship. But you have to do it, because otherwise you're going to get angry that you're not pursuing your
Mhm.
dreams and goals, and that you're always sacrificing so that the other person can achieve their dreams and goals while you don't. So that's unpacking part one for me. The other part is, like, I don't know how many hours a week you train, but I'm a light volume runner when it comes to 100 milers. Like, if I get up
Yeah.
to 40 miles in a week, it would be a lot. I
Yeah.
swim and I do strength training to compensate for people who run 100-mile weeks. And so, do you think it's because they are uneducated in the amount of time they might actually need to train? Because 100 miles is a huge number. And if you're not a part of it or haven't really started looking into it, it may seem like you need to be running 60, 70, 80, 100-mile weeks in order to finish one of these races.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that could be part of it for sure. It's like the concept that it has to be so much more than it actually has to be. And I guess that would depend on your specific goals too, like what you're looking to accomplish. Are you just looking to finish 100 miles? Are you looking to, set a certain, time for that 100 miles? Obviously, those things are all factors. But I do think that there's probably a perception that to train for 100 miles, it's like your long run on the weekend must be like 50 miles or something. And it's like, that's just not what it is at all. So I do think, yeah, it's a little bit of a lack of like education, or people have the mindset of like what um like marathon training is, and they try to directly apply that to like 100-mile training. And so they just try to multiply it,
Right.
by four, it's multiply it by whatever, the distance is. And so I mean, that's just a a lack of education, which is like why on my platform I kind of try to show like what my training entails because it's like it's not anything fancy or anything. It's, waking up really early and going to the treadmill at the gym, and that's
I
yeah.
think that's, I mean, and it's one of the reasons why I write my Enjoying the Journey series is that while some runners are out there running 10, 15, 20 miles on a Saturday, I'm going to the Hollywood Bowl and running stairs for an hour. The workout and
Mhm.
the elevation gain is with from my perception second to none, because what I have noticed is that when I run on Sundays flat and long, I'm running faster and smoother and more efficient because I have more strength in my legs from basically climbing 1,000 feet in what amounts to a mile and a half, in all honesty. Right.
Right.
And that's a hell of a climb. Like if I tried to do that out on the mountains, it would take me forever to do that because it's a
Right.
struggle, but I get to do it here in a condensed opportunity. And so it's a matter of finding other things too for me. I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
you've been through this. Have you gone through any phases of burnout or any particular moments of burnout with training and racing?
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah, just recently,
yeah,
actually. I need a break after Devil's
yeah,
Gulch.
and I went through it myself twice, at least, maybe 3 times now that I think about it. I got burnt out on Ironman. I got burnt out on 100 milers. I got burnt out on running in general after Cocodona. Um, and so if I don't change it up now, if I don't go to the gym, if I don't go to the pool, if I don't go to Saturday stairs and I'm just running, for me, that is an absolute recipe for disaster. That when I finish whatever event, I'm going to be like, I hate running. I don't want to deal with running and I don't want to see a pair of running shoes for a very, very long time.
Right. Yeah.
And I
No,
think that's,
same.
having a person like yourself, a coach, in your corner, it helps. I mean, without a doubt, it helps in getting the education on how many miles or hours, however, depending on how you care to slice up a training plan, should I be running so that I can reach that. Plus, be a parent, be a friend, be a business owner, be an employee. Um, we talk about everyday athletes on Run Try Bike constantly, and it's because of this, right? Like we're juggling so many things that we don't have the opportunity to go out and run and train for 25 hours a week. That's a part-time job.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah, I've gotten in my head before because I see, people post their weekly Strava mileage and I look at it and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm falling behind. I'm not like I but then I just remember like I am not at a place in my life where I can do that type of mileage. Like I just can't. Like there's no humanly possible way that I could, like, because I have so many other things going on and I have a very limited time to get my training in. And so what I do, I make it count. And, you know, maybe there'll come a day where I can, go a lot faster and put more miles on during the weeks, but it's not right now.
I think
So
you just hit the nail on the head. We talked about context earlier, right? So looking at weekly mileage on Strava, 25, 30, 35, 40, whatever the number is, there's no context there. That doesn't tell you,
I know I
yeah, that
hate it.
doesn't tell you if they spent every moment on the treadmill or if they spent every moment climbing Everest. Like there's no
Mhm.
context there. And then the other part is on Sundays, I'm running about a 9-minute mile, right? So over the course of 2 hours, 120 minutes, that's about a half marathon, give or take. If somebody's running a 15-minute mile, right, over the course of 2 hours, that's 8 miles. That looks like that's a
Yeah,
huge swing, right? 5-mile swing. But
it
the
is.
reality is
Yeah.
you still ran for 2 hours, and I ran for 2
It's the
hours.
same time
Right.
on feet.
And
Mhm.
so, like, social media is wonderful. I would not have met Heidi Baker if not for social media, right? But it's also can be very detrimental to runners because we fall into that comparison trap constantly.
Yeah.
And it's here's my highlight reel of all the things that I've done this week or today or whatever it is, as opposed to, you know what? Instead of going to the pool to swim today, I went and had pizza because I was exhausted. I had a rough
Mhm.
day. It was stressful, and so on and so forth. And um, that's the downside for me to social media. Do you have? I just popped into my head because the thing that irks me the most is the never miss a Monday thing. Um, do you have like one of those social media trends or concepts that people are always using that you're like, come on, really?
I mean, I don't I don't know. There's a lot. I mean, I hate it when people say there's a lot. I could probably give you a whole list. I hate it when people say hot take or
Yes.
unpopular opinion when it's nothing, like, it's just a thing that everybody thinks. It's like, hot take, grass is green. It's like, yes, that's not a hot take. It's just like, I can't stand anything that's done just for, like, the clickbait
Yes.
of it. Like or like, "Read below to find out." It's like, "No, just tell me in the real because 'cause I'm not gonna click and read it now because 'cause I'm stubborn. You made me mad by saying that, so."
Yeah, the never miss a Monday thing has bothered me since the day I got in.
Or we all have the same 24
Yeah, no, we
hours. We all
don't.
have the same 24 hours.
I
It's all the
yeah,
same.
right. Tell that
Thank you, single man that lives at the gym in your 20s for
right.
telling me that.
Tell that to the single parent who's got 3 jobs that they have the same 24 hours as the person who's been silver spooned their life. Like, again, so social media can be such a hellscape sometimes.
It really can be. I have to I've been better about it, but I can tell when I'm getting close to like, I'm getting to needing a break, and that's when I'll step away because I can just feel the heaviness in me from, like, the irritate like, it
Yeah,
builds up in you, like, do you feel that way? Like, it just feel like you can feel it building, and so it's like, "Okay, it's time to step away for a bit, take this weekend off," or, just delete Instagram for the weekend to and it's amazing. Life outside of social media is
it's
fantastic.
fantastic. It's one of the reasons why I've started to share the things that people are tagging me in because, like, I'm getting tagged in red velvet cheesecake, and I'm getting tagged in, birthday cake Chex Mix, and I'm getting tagged in, "Hey, I just bought this running shirt that's a button down, and I wanna look cool on a trail," or whatever it is. Like, because they're all related to running in some sense. Like, I wouldn't have met these people if not for running and endurance sports, but it's also,
Right.
yeah, hey, look, I found this, pizza, and I thought of you, Jason. Like, as opposed to I saw this pair of running shoes and I thought of you, Jason. And I find that to have made social media a lot more bearable for me in the last, I would
For
say in the
sure.
last 6 or 8 weeks, because now I'm laughing instead of like clenching my fists in anger where my knuckles turn white.
Yeah, for the most part, I've trained my algorithm pretty good on Instagram to where I get it's fairly good to like the content that I see and very positive and I've, eliminated people that but Threads is where it gets a little unhinged for me because you can just see everything all
Yeah.
the time. And so it's like that's where it's like, okay, I need you people are making me mad.
But I'm glad that we are able to address it and have this conversation, right? Because it's not all fucking
Yeah.
unicorns and rainbows, man. It's just not. We do a live show for those of you who are listening, and we have a comment from our buddy Joe Harden who wrote, "We all have the same 24 hours. Ugh, that drives me bonkers." Yes, 100%, man. And Joe and I are in business together. We run RTB Awards, and there is 0% chance that people have the same 24 hours as that guy because he's making all of the awards. I'm on the sales
Seriously.
side, so I'm like, sure, we can do that. No worries. Hey, Joe, can we do that? He's like, it's gonna take me 6 months, dude, but sure. Um,
Yeah.
but that dude works his tail off. He's hosting a podcast. He's training for 100 milers. He has a full-time job. He's got kids. He's got a wife. He's running this company with RTB Awards and having to source and all of the, materials and inventory and ship it all out. Like, there ain't no way, right? That's the same 24 hours as the person sitting on the couch watching the baseball game for 3 hours straight. That's just not one and the same.
Right.
One of the things I do want to talk about here in a slight pivot as we're coming up on some time here is I've seen posts on social media about trail racing being different vibes. Um, and I would agree with that sentiment to an extent. It's not the same as road racing, but
Mhm.
the trail racing that I participated in 10 years ago, I don't think is the same trail racing that is happening today. And I will preface that by saying this. 10 years ago, there was no such thing as a $300 pair of trail shoes, right?
Yeah,
Like that wasn't a thing. You bought your
right.
trail shoes, they cost 120 to 150 bucks, and you went out and ran for hours on end on the trails. Um, and the vibe back then was also more fat ass, right? Just show up as you are and run and
Yeah.
enjoy. And as more brands have found that trail running is connectivity through people to the land, to challenges and doing hard things, I feel that that vibe is changing. I don't. When did you start trail running?
Um, about 6, 7
Okay,
years ago,
so in
with some breaks because of babies and
you
pregnancy
mean
and
real
stuff.
life? Have you felt or seen that change in trail running that I'm describing?
Um, I don't know if I've so I think for me, the change has been just seen through like exposure to it. Cause I remember like my first trail race, I was woefully unprepared. I did not have, I don't even think I had even think I knew trail shoes were a thing. Like I signed up for this race because it was a 50 miler and didn't realize it was like literally on a mountain, even though mountain was in the name of the race. I should have figured that one out. But, like, I don't know, I was like, it's we're driving up this mountain, my husband's taking me up to drop me off. I'm like, where are we going? Why are we going up this mountain for this race?"
Well, you did
But
register for Mount fall off the edge of the cliff, didn't you? Yeah, sure.
the But, like, I just remember the vibes in the sense that it differed from road running. Like, I showed up
Yeah.
to this race woefully unprepared, not ready for it, but still loved it because of, like,
Mhm.
the people and the community and, like, the helpfulness of others, but I think now, while I still think that that's there, I do think there's this, like, it's becoming very road runny in the sense that it's like you need the latest gear and the nicest stuff and you need all these different things, like you need your vest, you need your poles, you need the nice trail shoes, you need the nice watch that's going to have the battery life and all these things. And so it's like it's intimidating for people who are new to the sport. You just got to go in blind like I did, not knowing anything about it and signing up for a mountain race without realizing it's on a mountain because that was the way to do it because it wasn't intimidating to me. I was just thrown into it.
Right.
Um and it, one second, I have a visitor here. Yes, can I help you?
Well, the
We're
as you're
going to go in a
talking,
minute.
I I just keep thinking about an experience I had at Rocky Raccoon. I did that race 5 times, and, um, one year, an acquaintance of mine was wearing a flannel shirt, like an actual flannel shirt, not a running flannel shirt, an actual flannel shirt. And it reminded me of like just the mountain man, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
going into the mountains to run on the dirt trails and do an ultra and run 100 miles. And for me, I was like, that's damn cool. Like, good for
Yeah.
you, right? Like, you're living the life of a trail runner in that scenario. And nowadays, and I'm at fault. Like I have button down trail shirts for sure that are for running that are far more stylish than the heavy, super heavy. Like that dude must have lost 20 pounds that day. It's so
Mm.
hot. Um, Trail shirt, and I don't know. Like it just feels like there's a. I wouldn't say it's a grand shift, but it feels like there's a shift in our sports where in trail running, that is, where we're seeing um, have the latest and greatest, have the fanciest, have all of these things. Um, where fat, like I don't hear about fat ass races anymore.
There's not many of them. I don't feel like I mean, there's some that I know of out east here at least, but yeah, there's not nearly as many.
Like, and that those are it's not to say that organized races aren't fun. Please don't get me wrong. I'm registering for shit. I'm gonna be
Again,
racing them.
nuance
Right,
people,
nuance
nuance.
people. But if you go to a fat ass event, there is something different about the camaraderie at a fat ass event than there is at the camaraderie at an organized race.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, at a fat ass event, like I remember we used to host one when I lived in Dallas. We would say, bring your own shit, bring your food and your drink and everything else. We'll have water and we'll have like, some nutrition. By the end of that race, like it was one massive aid station where everybody was just using whatever was out there, right? It just didn't
Yeah,
matter that it said Heidi's bag or Jason's bag. It was like, you got Skittles? I want
it was
Skittles.
like a potluck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what we should be calling them. Maybe that'll get more
Yeah,
people
like,
into it.
that'd get people into it, like, it's a potluck with a trail run in
Yes.
it too.
Up a mountain, but we'll put it in the description. Running on the side of a mountain. Where do you get more pleasure out of? Are you more of a, I want to go for a long period of time, or I want to go vertical, steep as hard as I can? Are you more of a vert or more of a endurance person?
Oh, I lie to myself and tell myself I'm a vert person, but I'm really not. I I lie when I say that because I think I wanna be a vert person. And I think I am because I'm like, "Oh, I did all these treadmill climbs and that was great." And then I actually get on like a mountain and I'm like, "Holy shit." Like I'm not a vert person at all. No, I mean, I like going out there for like just a long period of time. I actually kind of have learned that I love like a looped timed course. Just like you're just running in circles for a really long period of time for some reason. That's really appealing to me. And it's funny because I don't want that to be appealing to me. I wanna be the vert person, but yet it is. But I think a lot of that is just driven by the fact that where I live, and so I don't get that experience. I love it, like, if I'm on a mountain climbing, I do love it, but also I hate it.
I love climbing, right? Like if at the end of a training run, I've gone 2 hours and I've gone like 2 miles, but I've gained 1,000, 1,500 feet. Give me that all day, every day over. I ran for 2 hours on the trails and I covered 10 miles.
Yeah.
Um, I,
I've had to look at that shift in, like, my weekly mileage because my mileage right now is a lot lower
mhm.
than it would be normally, but my vert is a lot higher, like, my you know, because I'm on the tread like, what I'm doing right now getting ready for Devil's Gulch is I'm on the treadmill climbing or I'm on the Stairmaster climbing,
Yeah, I
or
love
I'm
it.
on a staircase climbing, like, that's
Yeah,
what I'm doing, so
and dancing and
and
singing on
dance
the staircase.
I
I
was
love it.
going a little insane that day, I think. It was really hot in there, and it smelled like chemicals. I was dying a little bit.
I will say this though, that video is proof and of do what you can with what you have, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to again, you don't have to have all the latest and greatest. Like go find a stairwell and run up and down it. Like you're going to get that in there. You you said the word vert and I started laughing because I read a post about 2 weeks ago that said, "Is there anything more douchier in trail running than somebody using the word vert?" And I just
Probably not, but I'll do it anyway.
And I was like, is there another way? Like, is there another word
That's
or a
what we
phrase that we
say.
trail runners use that like nobody else in the world would understand and kind of sounds douchey, right? Bert.
I think my husband's actually made fun of me on multiple occasions when I say, like he's like, "Oh, yeah, you're gonna go get some sweet vert or something," like, because he's not an ultra runner or trail runner, so I'm like, "Yeah, it probably does sound douchey, but
we
whatever."
but we need those people in our lives to bring us back to reality, right? Like hit me over the head with a hammer and remind me like first of all, dude, you're not getting paid to do this stuff. Like you're out there enjoying it. It's a hobby. and you should enjoy the hobby as opposed to being angry at the hobby when it's all said and done.
I think I just told my husband it was, like, about a post that your boy Scott Jurek had put on, Instagram, and I was, like, describing it to him, and I was like, "This is so funny," and he was like, I don't really get it." And he just said something like, "Geopolitical ultra running humor is about as highbrow as you can get," or something like that, because he's like, "That's so niche. No one else will understand."
Population of less than 1%.
I'm like, "But it's hysterical. It's funny."
I want, but we've got a few more minutes, but I want to talk to you a little bit about pacing and crewing because you just did so
Mhm.
at a 100 miler with running and stash, which is, I find pacing and crewing to be so uber rewarding.
It's the
Um,
best.
right? Why is that? Why
I
is
don't
it the
know. I
best?
think I wanna be done ultra running and just pace people because it's so much fun.
Is it because we know we're only going to run about 20, 30 miles while they got to do 100?
Yeah, I think that's part of it for sure. It's like when they're in the worst of it, we're like, "Yeah, let's go. We ready?" Like, it's that. It's like, I don't know, like, there's something so raw about, like, seeing somebody in that and, like, how and then watching them, like, come out of it and, like, pull through and rally. Like, in Justin's case, like, he thought his race was over when he was getting to me to the point where I was gonna pace him. Like, he thought he was done. And I said, "No, you got plenty of time. Sit down. Let's see how you feel in a little bit." And it's like just seeing somebody, and then he finished 100 miles in 28 hours. And it's like to see somebody overcome that moment when they think that they're done. It's really cool to like have that, firsthand experience of it. And I don't know. I really enjoy it.
It just dawned on me. I wonder if a part of it too is that inherently social media is selfish, right? It's here's my picture, look at me, come talk to me. And now we're helping somebody else accomplish their dreams and goals as opposed to, hey, look at me, look at what I'm doing. And I wonder if that adds a little bit to the idea that pacing and or crewing is just giving of yourself to somebody else, and it removes sort of that selfishness that is inherent with social media, and it makes it better that way. I hadn't thought about it before, but I wonder if that also happens.
Yeah, I think there's like an element of like trust too. Like,
Yes.
for someone to trust you to, like, help them through that and let you see them in that really, like, raw, uncomfortable state, like, because that's very vulnerable and very exposed, and so to, like, let somebody in there and, like, let somebody and you're gonna hate them in that moment because they're telling you to get your ass moving and you don't want to, and so
Yep.
it's like to let somebody in like that is, like, very special too, I think.
Yeah, Joe just had Brian Wolfie Peterson on Beyond the Finish Line, and one of the things he says in that conversation is that running 100 miles is humbling, right? You might have the biggest ego going into the 100 miler, but he can
Mhm.
almost guarantee you that coming out of the 100 miler, you will be humbled because there are so many swings during a race. Like I
Yeah.
have I have finished 100 milers in 19 hours, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's so blazing fast and everything else. It must have been wonderful." And it's like, sure, it was fast, but there were moments of dark and um, can I get through this? Can I do this? Am I capable of getting through 100 miles regardless of the time? And I think that when, for me anyway, like if you see pictures of me at a race, like with about a mile to go, like this smile comes across my face. And it doesn't
Mhm.
matter what the finish time is. It's holy fuck, I did this. Like I was
Yeah.
able to do this and I went through the process. And thanks to pacers and crew and people waiting for me at the finish line, I was able to do it. And there's a rawness and a realness to it in that situation, which I think is a huge um, component of all that. Is there an event that you have not paced or crewed at that you're like, I would love to be a part of that event to help somebody else through it?
Oh, I mean, all of them. Like Cocodona for sure. I would love to be there. I'd love to like help somebody through like crew or pace like I haven't helped anybody at like a 200 plus mile race yet. I think that'd be really cool and fun. And um I mean just any of them. Although I did pace at Blackbeard's Revenge here on the East Coast, and that was terrible. Like I loved pacing, but the race itself, if you love mountains and trails, you will not love Blackbeard's because it's on the road and there's just sand flying in your face the entire time. But I mean, it's just fun to like, it's just it's just a good experience. I love it. I think I've set the goal. I've got 200 miles in spring next year, and after that, I might spend the rest of my year just focusing on like volunteering, crewing, and pacing.
When
Because
you say 200 miles, so 2x 100-mile races? Or you're racing
no,
a 200-miler?
I'm racing a 200 miler
Oh, which
in the
one?
spring. It's Canebrake. It's here. It's a Yeti race here
Okay.
in Georgia.
Fantastic.
So
Yeah. I've raced Cocodona and I paced Ohm at Tahoe 200 to a finish, as well as to a DNF at Moab 240. And it's special. And
yeah.
the one race that I have said I have zero interest in doing, but I will absolutely crew and pace for anytime anybody asks is Badwater. So again, it's on the
Mm.
road.
I would actually like to. I don't know that I'd ever want to do it, but I would love to like be there for
Yeah,
somebody.
I paced a number of years ago, and it's just an unbelievable experience. And John Calabrese, who was on our fireside chat last week, is looking to apply for Badwater. And I just told him, dude, you've already got one person on your team. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
for
happy
sure.
to do it. It's just one of those races. Before we get into the end of the show, I want to make sure we talk about your podcast, which is Let's Run That Again. You do that with Michelle Goldberg, and it is a great show. I had the pleasure of being on it, and I know a number of our hosts from the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network have been on it as well. One question I want to bring to you is athletes. How are you finding them? How are you like what is it that they are either talking about on social media or somebody recommends to you that you're like, I'd like to talk to them about this?
1 second. Please go out with Autumn. I'll be done in a minute. Autumn, take her out there now. Please. Sorry. This is the fun of having this is the real life of having kids and doing this kind of stuff.
We're going to show this to that lady who made a comment.
um so I have just like reached out to people. We have had people reach out to us. We have like a form that people fill out. But like it's even been situations where we had a guest who had commented, go play with her now. Go, please. Now. Listen or no pool. Sorry. There we go.
You're good. It's perfect. Real life, man.
But we had somebody reach out and say like that they listened to the podcast and they were big fans, and he said that it like helped him, and he was chasing like his fifth attempt at 100 miles. He hadn't like finished yet, and I was like, oh well, you sound like you'd be a great guest, like do you want to come on? And so we had him on. It was an awesome conversation. So it's like, I mean, we've had a couple bigger names, like we got John Kelly on, and we got Andy Glaze on, and those just come from me being really annoying and persistent. Um, Andy Glaze actually said that when he came on the podcast. He's like, "Well, you're really persistent. I'll give you that." So I was like, "All right, I've got that going for me." Um, but I mean, for me, I knew it was kind of never really going to be something where we can have really big names on, because those are hard to get. We have no like zero name recognition. Nobody knows about our podcast. I mean, we have some listeners and stuff, but for me, it was more about just the people every day who, you know, fall short somehow, but then keep trying, because like those are the real stories, the people who fail or don't complete their race and then they keep coming back, and they're not sponsored by anybody. They don't have any like they're not paid athletes, but they still keep showing up. Those are the stories I want to tell.
Yeah, and so for those of you who don't know, it's called Let's Run That Again. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform. Heidi and Michelle do a great job asking great questions of athletes who, as Wolfie says, fall into the 95%, as we have coined them, the everyday athlete. These are the conversations, and there are so many of us that are out here doing the things that we can do as best as we can do them.
One sec.
And it's really hard to show up on a daily basis to make sure that you're doing the stuff that you need to do to find your finish lines and achieve your goals. It sounds like it's pool time.
Yeah,
So
sorry, they've lost it on me. They're
they did,
retaliating.
they did great. They lasted right up until an hour. Heidi, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Running Tales. I really appreciate your time. It's been fantastic getting to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
For those of you that have stuck around for the entire hour, thank you so much. Make sure that you subscribe, rate, and review the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform, because it does help us with the algorithm, with getting us ranked, with helping us find athletes like Heidi and have these conversations that the vast majority of us fall into, which is that everyday athlete mindset with responsibilities for running a business, being an employee, for being a parent, being a significant other, for everything in between. So please make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you so much. As I said, this will be the last Running Tales for some time. It's going on hiatus as Craig and I figure out what works best for him. Because again, this is the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network, run by everyday athletes who have other responsibilities.